Hello, you're listening to Hibs Talk. I'm your host as always, Gav. Joining me today is Dave.
Alright.
Stephen.
Hello.
And Craig.
Alright.
How you doing, guys?
Not too bad.
Good. You have a good New Year?
Quiet. Aye. Boring. Watched only an excuse. Absolute. And you watch it actually.
I've not.
I stopped watching it since it was all about sectarianism and the Huns.
Oh my god.
I only like
sectarianism and the Huns.
I only liked Peloton, but that made me laugh.
There was the bit with the policeman with the scarf when it was like celebrating goals at Dundee or Livingston. There'll be fist pumps, and then if it's at Ibrox, they're gone mental. Yeah. But nah, just out there. I don't know. The impressions are the worst bit.
Yeah.
Like his Jurgen Klopp impression was just horrendous.
Remember when it all used to just be Scottish football? It's new, like political and just tunnels the other shit. But that because they done quite a few sketches in that Ian Blackford mind, and then you had posted a video of him talking about Hibs in the House of Commons. I was like, I wonder if that's like going to be the clip, because that went no bad. But what'd you do?
I just sat in. I was meant to be going to my friend's house, but
is this your Livy best mate?
It is actually, but now something happened, so they had to kind of cancel. So we just a quiet night in, nothing exciting. But no, it was good. So anyway, the main topic of the podcast today is going to be what the Hibs need in this transfer window. So we will get to the Livy game after, but the main takeaway seemed to be from going through the forums and from speaking to folks seems to be, you know, what do we need in January? So that's kind of the main talking point. But we'll talk about the Livy game after that. But firstly, I guess kind of an addition to squad would be Gullen has returned from his loan spell at Wraith Rovers. He was our top goal scorer, scored 10 goals in 16 games. Wraith Rovers are gutted. John McGlynn's really sad about it, which is nice. Can he make the step up from League One to the Premier League?
If he's going to get a chance, unlike say Fraser Murray and Ollie Shaw have had, then he might do, but you never know.
So I mean, we'll kind of just, you mentioned that then, I mean, you know, could it maybe be that Hibs have recalled him to put him to a higher level than Wraith Rovers, or why would you call him back if he's doing so well?
Well, exactly, why would you call him back if he's doing so well? If he's banging in goals, like, why then put him up to a higher level if he's not ready for it? Keep him where he is with Wraith, bang them in, then next season maybe move him up to the Championship for 6 months, get him in, or give him like a lower team, like struggling for relegation, like Hearts or Hamilton, something like that.
Do you think Jack Ross just wants to see everybody, like, before he starts to, like, do you know what I mean, assess his options?
He'll be training with them because they're full time, eh?
So maybe Jack Ross is like, oh, we need a striker, but we maybe didn't, because we've got Gullen, so we'll bring him back in and then have a look at him, and then you never know, at the end of the month he could be like, right, you could maybe go in somewhere else. Who done that with Greg Taylor? Birmingham done that. When he went back to Birmingham, they took him
Greg
Stewart. Aye. Duh.
Was it Aberdeen? Because he was Kelly. And tore it up at Kelly and then went to Aberdeen.
He went back to Birmingham and then went straight to Aberdeen in the same window. Bizarre, but you never know.
So on that, kind of before we go into and stuff, like you mentioned it there, do you think this could be an opportunity? They've been talking about in the papers, Murray and Ollie Shaw, could they be an opportunity for them to go out and get some game time?
Let them go for good.
Oh, controversial for Craig there.
It is a case of one in, one out. Like, Ollie Shaw's had his chance under Jack Ross, not made that much an impression, and I think it is a case of him needing to go out, maybe a team like Dundee, where Mackie is already, just get a bit more game time with like full-time professionals rather than playing under 20s, because he's not getting a game for the first team.
Shaw was linked with a loan move to League One in the last window. Is that something that would maybe beneficial?
East Fife or something, maybe.
No, I mean like in English League One. Sorry.
Oh, English League One. Maybe that's a bit ambitious.
The team's interested in him. Could that be a good move for him?
Ollie Shaw, I would definitely send out him on 100%. He's no, what age is he? What age is he now?
21, I think.
He's not playing enough, and he doesn't look like he's going to be. He's been on the fringes of your team for like a couple of seasons now, so he either takes a long move or we just need to let it go.
Same with Fraser Murray.
Do you think the same with Fraser Murray?
Aye.
So I think there's a bit more potential with him though.
But he
has been in the fringes. I know
three years with three managers, and he's not once
broke right in.
He's been, like we were talking about the Wraith game where he came in the Championship and he was class. But he's had the full season under Lennon, then a split season with Lennon and Hecky, and now a half season with Hecky and Jack Ross. he's still no.
The thing that annoys me with Fraser Murray though is that if we let him go, I think he'll be the next Scott Martin, and we just got to miss him when he goes.
Scott Martin.
What?
That's a new phrase.
But I mean, it was the same though. Like Scott Martin, like we had talked about keeping him, and then he went and he's tore it up for Hamilton. Like he's
done well
best
for
player.
Hamilton. I don't think Scott Martin would get into the Hibs team.
I think he would.
I think he would.
He's exactly. To be fair to Stephen, we spoke about this last week. Spoiler at the Livy game, and Scott Martin would get a game for Hibs. You know,
he's the type of player we need, but he's not the answer.
Fair enough.
Anyway, on to this transfer window then. So I asked you guys to kind of have a look. Let's start with what do we need. So 2 positions that we need, or 1 position if you want to go for the same, but and 2 realistic options for what we need. So what do we need this transfer window?
Centre midfielder and another winger.
Yep, I would go with them too, and I'd probably get another centre half and a right back and a left back and another striker. We need a bit of everything to be fair.
I've got a striker and a winger for my 2.
So you don't have a defensive midfielder?
No, there's no point now. I don't think that we're going to get a decent defensive midfielder in right now. Realistically,
Malumbu's doing nothing still, but anyway.
But he won't sign for us, so that's the thing. If Malumbu would sign for us, we would have already had him in.
So Craig, starting with yourself, what's your first name that you've got you want to see? That's a realistic one you'd like to see us bring in.
Greg Docherty.
Hun.
What Stephen said. Jenk, what? Permanent?
Aye.
Permanent.
I think he's no getting anywhere near that Rangers team.
Yeah, I think permanently, I think we maybe have a chance. I didn't think Rangers would give us another loan after the Middleton thing. I think that'll be bridges burnt because never really got a chance.
Best thing we'd ever done.
But I was talking to my Rangers mate about this today, and he was saying that Gerrard had come out and said that Docherty's got like a really good attitude and that he's just kind of getting into the team. So
like, good engine.
He's a
ball winner. He played. Was it Shrewsbury? He was at last season. Ended up winning their Player of the Year. Scored I think maybe 14 or 15 goals, something like that, for central midfield. So he's no the spoiler as such, but he's somebody that'll maybe can be able to break up play and drive forward at the same time.
Yep.
Hon.
Dave, what's your first name?
I went with quite boring. I went Omiyonga. He's done nothing. He's played twice with that Cercle Bruges. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm
sure the Cercle Bruges fans that listening will correct us if we're wrong.
Yes. But he's only played twice for them. But he's 24 in March, I was looking, and he's had less than 70 appearances in his whole career. So he needs a move that is going to benefit him and get him playing football. Otherwise, he's going to go down a route where he's not going to play that much. And he enjoyed it at Hibs, but well, I didn't actually ask him and speak to him about it, but it seemed like he enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like a good personality in that day, and he was class.
Could be like Scott Allen though. Like Scott Allen's, if you add up his career appearances apart from Hibs, you'd be struggling to get the same amount of number.
Yeah. But
he just fits at Hibs. Omiyonga could be similar.
Yeah, I've got Kyle McGuinness for St Mirren. I think he's contracted till 2021. He got his debut for Jack Ross. He got his debut against Hibs, and it was the same with Martin Boyle. He got his debut against Hibs as well. And like, it'd be good to have a player like we'd take the approach of Celtic and Rangers, a player that always rips our team apart, and we buy them to stop them doing that.
He's like a right midfielder. He's not like a winger, but he plays
so,
on the wing.
Like that was like my reason for it, is that he's got the ability to take it past a man, put him in front of Stevenson, and then you've got both wings covered. Adds a bit in the middle as well. Exactly. Adds a bit more depth as well. Like I mean, obviously we've talked about Jack Ross changing formation halfway through a game. Allows the 3-5-2 to come in, and like you've got like I think that if we've got a player with a bit of flair and can take it past a man on both wings, then you can afford to play one up front when you've got like people cutting in and stuff as well. It makes a big difference for me.
The Hibs need to now take an approach, like you say, like Celtic and stuff, where we're looking at players like that, where it's worked with them again, where we think, right, there's potential there. We sign them, maybe do a bit of a sell-on clause again and stuff, with the option of selling them on further down the line for a big profit.
I don't even think that, like, if we got McGuinness in, I don't think that that's a player that we look to buy to sell. I think that that's a player that we would be able to financially afford to keep long term, and where our club are at, I think that's at a stature where we could keep him. I mean, he's only 21, so there's the ability to sell him later on, but he's already scored 8 goals from midfield and like 50 appearances or something for St Mirren.
What do you think, Craig? Should we be signing players like that to try and keep, or do you think we should take the McGinn approach again?
I don't think anyone could have foreseen, you say the McGinn approach, but I don't think any of us could have foreseen McGinn going on to what he has. When we first signed him, it was pretty evident after the first 6 months or so that we had a player. But I don't think any of us realised at the time when we signed him how good a player he was. And I think I kind of sit on the fence with what you say in terms of buy to keep but also buy to sell. Because you then get yourself in a position where, kind of like further down the line, McGinn's going to make us a lot of money. And then you also look at the knock-on effect that it would also get St Mirren a lot of money, which is obviously going to happen, or they maybe got their cut when McGinn went to Villa. So I think he's someone that we should be aiming at. This whole, we were speaking about Dundee United before we started, about how they're just spending money. They've got an American millionaire owner who's just rinsing it. I don't want to get to that level where we're spending more than what we can afford, but why can we not go out and spend? Because McGuinness, what's he, Scotland under 21 international?
Yeah.
So by the summer he'll have 12 months left on his contract.
Yeah. He's already captain St Mirren as well, like at 21.
So you're looking at what, maybe 500 grand?
I don't even think it would cost us that much, to be honest.
But say, put a ballpark figure like that, 500 grand.
I'd say about 200.
Why are we so hesitant on going out and spending that sort of money on a player like that?
We just spent 350 grand on Doige. Like, there's no excuse for us not to spend that money on a player that's got so much more potential.
And it's worked out with Doige in the long run because he's scored goals, but maybe just not against Livingston.
Gav, let's be serious. He's not scored in about 4 games now. He went on a run of like...
I'm keeping my green tinted glasses on. So, Dave, what's your second one?
Here we go. Second one is Lewis Morgan on loan. No? What's wrong with that?
No, he was one of mine.
Who was he? Oh, I apologise.
No, I slightly changed that.
I looked at him earlier on and was like, I just think if...
It's the Jack Ross link.
Jack Ross link, and obviously the friends between Hibs and Celtic, which is brilliant, let's all face it, among the boys.
After the whole McGinn thing, we need to get that relationship back.
But why? We need it back.
One of the boys.
Aye. Hopefully, what about them against Rangers? They're unlucky. I'm just trying to annoy Gav now. But aye, Lewis Morgan. I think genuine chance that he would come on loan as well. Well, I think you kind of get 2 loan players in the club for any one club at the one time, you know.
So who else have we got?
No, we're going to get Lee Griffiths.
Oh, right.
Obviously, so.
Stephen, who's your second realistic one that we kind of need this window?
Dykes. I think that for that, it's more like he's already scored 8 goals in 16 games this season. He's able to play up front on his own, which is what we need now. I think with Canberra being injury prone this season, Doige can't play up front as well. And I think if you've got Boyle and Allen, like being able to provide the service for Dykes, who's got to score a lot more goals. He's already scored basically for a goal kick against Celtic, and I think that's basically what we're needing now, just a striker. And I mean, he's another one that's only got an extra year on his contract. He's out in 2021.
The thing I like about him as well is you look. I mean, I don't know the stats, but people talk about Stephen Dobie playing beside him because he can play in a 2.
Yeah, well, that was it last season.
And then Stephen Dobie this season without him. Obviously, Stephen Dobie's getting older, but he done a lot of the work.
I think he provided 17 assists to Dobie last season, was what his record was. And I think that was another reason that Livy had signed him, was the fact that they had that flexibility of playing him up as a 1 or a 2.
Yeah. Would you take Lyndon Dykes?
I think it's a good shout, actually. Aye.
Yeah, good shout. And your Livy mate will not be happy with you.
That was another reason. my comment started, want to rile up Gav's Livy bestie.
Okay, so now I guess this is more in terms of.
Oh, Dan, I'll get my second.
Oh, sorry, you take your second one. Go. I'm losing count here. Right, on you go, Craig. What's your second one?
It was Morgan, and then I changed it to that Marian Shved, the wee Ukrainian boy that Celtic have got. Because I think he might be more realistic than Morgan, who's been in and about the team recently. He's not really played since the summer, but He's one of these boys that can play off the right, cut in, seems to have a decent shot on him, good burst of pace.
We've already got a star man playing on the right.
But at this point, Boyle will be playing through the middle with Dykes. As Doidge is out getting spread balls for Greg Docherty and
Omionga.
Aye. But no, I think it's just sitting a wee bit left field. The boys obviously struggling to adapt to Scottish football. Like Dave said, we need to get the boys' relationship back. Help each other out.
So none of these have kind of went for an out-and-out ball-winning midfielder like a Bartley or Milligan, which we've all been saying we need. Stephen, is that just because
I think
you don't think we can get in this window?
It's literally because we can't get in this window. I've got a defensive midfielder later on.
Are you quite happy with them, with Hallberg playing that role the rest of the season, or do you still think we need somebody in order to get the best out of him?
The reason as well is the fact that Jack Ross has already come out and says that Hallberg wants to learn to play a defensive midfield role. And if he's got the ability to learn it, then, I mean, what's the harm in giving him it for 6 months where we're already starting to pick up points in the formation that we're playing?
But if we want to be, we're not really picking up points in the last few games. You look at how we've done against the Old Firm.
It's just inconsistency.
Yeah, we've got 3 points against team bottom of the league, but other than that, we've not done well the last 6 games.
It's just inconsistency, and I think this is what we says when Jack Ross came in, was the fact that it can go on a run of wins, or like a hecky run, or he can start to become inconsistent and then find his formation like through that. And that's what I'd rather we done this season, bringing a manager in November, December, is we would use it as a transitional period, because there's no point in getting off the flyer and then me hating the manager by the end of the season.
But I mean, Europe's still not out of the question, Craig. I mean, looking at the rest of the season, are you quite happy with Hallberg learning a position rather than having somebody who's naturally able to play there?
I'd rather write off the rest of the season, if I'm being honest, and give this 6 months, get players in January who we might have looked at in the summer, give them 6 months with Jack Ross, and then hit the ground running next season. I didn't see how we catch Motherwell or Aberdeen.
Jack Ross might be looking at it that way too, like no writing off, but he's got a free hit this 6 months to blame our final league position on the fact that he came into a lot of crap. And then next season he's got a decent hit. That's maybe why he brought back Gullen, because he's like, we can actually afford to like waste him in the next few games, because we're not going to go any closer to the bottom of the league, because there's that bottom of the league's absolute dross, especially right at the bottom. But
we just need to make sure that if we do take that approach, that we're no complacent enough to expect the top 6.
So do you think this window, when we're talking about what we should be looking at, we should be looking at players we can get in long term rather than just 6 month loan deals?
Yep,
definitely. And I think obviously, like, you look at when Jack Ross came into St Mirren as well, he was praised for stopping them from being relegated. It wasn't like he never had this transitional like magic run where he had ended up keeping them like top 3, top 4 in the championship. He came in and finished second bottom or third bottom. That's the kind of thing that's got to happen, like us in the top 6 this season. If we can push for fourth, but I think top 6 is priority this season now.
Fair enough. So moving on then, we have 2 signings that would be nice. They're maybe semi-realistic, slightly outside the box chances that are maybe not essential to what we need in the team, but would definitely improve the team if they came in. So what's kind of the names she's have got for this? Dave, you look ready to go.
Effie Ambrose. One then.
Stephen, what's your thoughts on that?
100%. If we could get Effie Ambrose in now, I would take him in a heartbeat.
Craig?
No.
So I'm gonna. So Stephen, you and Craig, and sorry, Stephen, Dave, you have just said you don't want 6 month loan deals because you don't want short term signings, and you want to sign Effie Ambrose, who's 33.
Take him on an 18-month deal. It's no short term.
No, he's definitely good enough to play anywhere in that back 4. Fuck, I'd even play him left back.
Why is no one taking him yet?
I didn't know, mate. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. He probably earned a pretty penny when he was at Derby, and then maybe just taking a year out. I think students do that, like gap years and that.
Why take a gap year at 32?
Don't know. Maybe he's just not found the right club in that either. I didn't know. I'm just like.
Why are Livingston and St Johnstone the only teams linked with him?
We've maybe already said no.
So why are better teams not looking at him?
Because I don't think there's any doubt that he is good enough. Like, Porteous, I think, has tailed off a lot not having Effie beside him. Like Porteous just went from playing at Ibrox with a makeshift back. Mind we played with Stevenson at centre half.
Left centre half.
With Porteous and Ambrose, and
Yep.
we won the game. To now playing at the back with Hanlon, and he's getting sent off because he feels like he has to take names to get a bit of a cheer because we're that hopeless. But the way I look at it for the Ambrose situation is that he invoked a clause in his contract to leave for nothing, which he done. He then went and sat on the bench at Derby, maybe twice, done nothing. He's then done nothing since the summer. Why should we be so keen to bring back someone who couldn't wait to get away?
But
So it's not about ability for me, it's about the bigger picture.
we put that clause in his contract because I don't think if we weren't as accommodating with his contract, we probably would never have got him. We probably had to bend our backwards to get him in the first place, and then at the end of the day we put that clause there, so if we put it there and he takes it, then
it's our own fault.
And I think if, like what Gav's saying, in his 30s and then Derby's coming in for him, he's like, right, I'll go. People make like career choices and mistakes and that, like Adam maybe done the same, but he was like absolutely class for that first 6 months of the year, and he would have got player of the year
100%
if he had stayed. I even maybe gave him it for the first 6 months. Like,
I know, like I say, you can't argue about his quality in that, but I don't want to, which is ironic given probably some of the names that are going to come up, but I don't want to keep looking back.
Yeah.
Too often Hibs fans, we look back and we think remember back when he was a player and he was a player, and we as a club do that, I think, far too often. And as a fan base, I think we do it far too often as well, because it's easy enough to look back at the good times when the times are shite, and think who was good in the good times. Even in the summer when there was talk about Cummins and that coming back, Cummins will never play for Hibs again. Like, just as an example, someone like him, he will never ever play for Hibs again, but because we were desperate for a striker, folk wanted him back in instead of looking outside the box at other players that are available.
It's just like with fans doing it. It's just
every
the scout
window Cummins will be
the scout with the C. But I think I don't think I wouldn't apply that to Ambrose purely because I think like you're saying, he was like I think he was a calming influence for the players because he like obviously started attacks and that, or Jenky made them feel the same as they made us feel in the stand, like panicky. But it was exciting.
Probably both.
It was exciting.
But then the thing is with Ambrose is that when he was doing the amazes, he had a Bartley or a Milligan that would drop in and cover him. Hallberg's not got to do that. So,
no, possibly no.
So it's not, for me saying no, it's not about his quality as a player because that would be stupid. It's the overall picture.
Then why not look at Ambrose as a defensive midfielder, where he's already sitting in front of a back four. Gav's already jumping.
No, he's never played there. You know,
but that's
folks say he's got you can see that he's got the ability. But then why have all these coaches never played?
But then we say that the same about Hanlon. Hanlon could play better as a centre midfielder than he can as a defender.
Well, there's obviously something that coaches that know a lot more about football that are seeing that they're
Who
not.
Who cares a lot more about football than us, Gav? Let's be serious. We sit here every single week.
Like, we could talk about for ages. So let's move on. Craig, what's your next one?
McGeoch.
Talking about players coming back.
I know. But I know McGeoch. I just think that as a game we spoke about earlier, I don't subscribe to this whole spoiler type. We won the cup, McGinn 5 in McGeoch. There's no spoiler there. The 6 months under Lennon where we finished 4th, Allen, McGeoch, McGinn. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's this need for a big bruising.
To back up Stephen's point though, those two games, like the cup final and that good spell under Lennon, we played 5-3-2, so we had 3 defenders behind that midfield.
Aye, but then there's also periods under Stubbs where we played a diamond. The game at Easter Road where we destroyed Rangers, McGeoch was in that diamond. So he just need to play in a 3, and I suppose you could argue with a diamond that it is a 3. Attacking wise and defending wise, there's a 3 with a point at either end. But no, I just think in terms of ball retention and ball use, like McGeoch's.
Could you see McGeoch coming back?
Yeah, well, there's no point coming back to me for my second one because my second one was McGeoch.
Same with mine. That's my first one.
But Stephen was just saying that he's injured. I know we're on a break until what? 19th or something.
Yeah,
19th.
It's only like 5 weeks he's out for. So
yeah.
But one player of the year when he had McGinn and Allen sitting there, so it's not a bad not a bad achievement. And
how many times did we sit here and go that we wished McGeoch was fit when he was in, all through those periods of injury? There's no very often players you sit and go, even like with Boyle to a certain extent, none of us, I certainly wasn't going, I can't wait for Boyle to come back, but with McGeoch there was always an element that you couldn't wait for him to come back. And I think that, again, like using the Scott Allen example, I think Hibs could just be the perfect fit.
I think the contrast with Boyle coming back as well was like sheer panic. Like me and you discussed this, Gav, was the fact that when Boyle was coming back, my first thought was that he's not going to be the same player as he was, and he's come back a lot better.
He's even better.
Exactly.
Like I said, you said earlier about the striker Dykes, Allen and Boyle providing the service. When and ever would we have put the name Martin Boyle up there with saying he can provide service? We never would have done it because his final product was always the issue, whereas he's came back for this injury and he's been a hell of a lot better, to the point where, okay, we're going a bit off tangent a bit, but again, he's now got a contract in the next 18 months and you're looking at making him one of the top earners to make sure that he stays.
So I mean,
but McGeoch, sorry, I just kind of went off on one there.
That's right.
If 18 months ago you had said in 18 months' time you'll still have Allen and two of Allen, McGeoch, McGinn, you'd be like, deal. So if we can get two of that back, then the midfield that we'll talk about, I think every second or third podcast one of their names get mentioned as a reference for Sutton, then take it.
Right, so my second one, it's a bit of a random one. Mark Wilson. So he was like
the boy that used to be at Stoke,
Sunderland and Bolton
centre
last
half,
season.
centre half, right back, right.
So I think it's like he's 32 coming up. He's not played since the summer when he got released for Bolton, but he's another one that's offers a bit more than McGregor for me. He's got a lot of Premier League experience. He's just come off the back of a disappointing season with Bolton. Been out of football for 6 months, but I think he'd provide a lot more stability than what we've got right now. And if he's not getting games, he'll be able to provide that experience for Porteous.
A bit like Spector did last season.
Yeah, exactly. Like Spector never played much, but when he did play, played well. He played well against Hearts in the derby, and I think that he'll just provide that bit more assurance for Porteous than Hanlon does.
So Craig, what you kind of mentioned this earlier, you're quite happy with the fact we've got 4 centre backs. But do you think it's something we could improve on?
Oh no, it could certainly improve, but unless it's got to be a one out, one in scenario, especially if I've got the hard on for the 3-5-2. If we didn't bring in another centre half and then we go 3 at the back, or if we do the one in, one out and we go 3 at the back and one of them gets injured, then we're pretty much knackered.
Well, you're bringing in another centre back, we've already got 5 in, because you've got Jackson, who's like just seemed to disappear. You've got Jackson, McGregor, Hanlon, Porteous, and if we get another one in, like, with this winter break and Jack Ross more time to look at more players, could we see a lot of these summer signings get second chances and be like new signings, like your Jacksons, your Tom Jameses, maybe even Vela, who's really out in the cold at the moment?
No, I think that Vela, I think he'll go. I would be surprised to see. I think James will stay if we don't get Naismith permanent. If Naismith signs permanently, James is already, for me, third in the pecking order behind him and David Gray anyway. The other ones, Newell, I think's made a case that he can certainly make a decent impact. Jackson, like you said on last week's show, it's like McGregor has been out for so long, comes back, Porteous gets sent off, Jackson's been on the bench for weeks, McGregor comes on, and then last week at Tynecastle McGregor plays as well.
It just annoys me because like with Jackson, he never done anything wrong. Like he came into that Celtic game where we drew 1-1, and until he got injured, he was probably the best player that we had on the park defensively. Like,
that's who Whittaker replaced.
Exactly.
Whittaker came on for
yeah. So it's things like that just sort of changes it.
Right, so Dave, you've done yours with Effie and McGeoch. Craig, what's your second one?
Scott Tanzer from St Johnstone, left back. I think we need to be looking at longer term solutions to Stevenson, and he knows the league. Admittedly, he's played quite well since the start of the season. So he'd be a wee left field shout for somebody to come in to supplement the squad with a name to not phasing Stevenson out, but giving him a bit of competition.
He's only 25. He's English, and he has been at St Johnstone for the last 18 months, so 80 games for them, so good experience in the league.
Solid left back in the league, I knows the league.
Yeah. Stephen, your thoughts on looking for the replacement for Stevenson?
I don't think that you really need to look too far, because I think that with Mackie starting to perform at Dundee, I think that would be a choice for me. But I mean, you've got Tom James, and I've argued this for the start of the season, and you've argued it as well, is the fact that Tom James played all pre-season left back when Stevenson was injured, done a cracking job. He's a wing back as well, so he's got the flexibility to push forward. I think that
you're 3-5-2.
Yeah, but it's not even just that. I would play him in a flat back four as well. I would genuinely play him in a flat back four.
I know what Craig's coming for. Is
Tom James or Tanza?
We've got James, but it depends whether we need. Do we waste money on another position and have even more depth, or do we accept? It depends whether James is going to get a look in or not. But Tanzer's a good shout for league experience and knowing the league, and that type of move could work.
I think if you get a player like him, and it's just got to be like another Adam Eckersley or whoever else that we've bloody had that's just came in for 6 months or 12 months and just sat on the bench watching Stevenson, whereas you've got Tom James who can play left and right back, and with David Gray's injuries, if we keep Naismith, you've got somebody that can play both full-back positions.
Do we need to start looking beyond Stevenson though? Because I mean, you look at the amount of crosses we've conceded this team from that side. Teams are creating chances down that side. You could argue about the protection in front of the defence and stuff, but at the end of the day, yeah, he had a brilliant performance at Tynecastle, but there has been question marks over Stevenson this season. Do we need to start looking past the Scottish Cup defence and start to build the new one, which arguably we should have started 18 months ago?
Been saying it for weeks.
Craig?
Aye, I think so. There's obviously all these players are got to be held in such high esteem because of how they done. But you could go around Easter Road and ask somebody, right, pick your back four, and I'd wager quite a high majority would go Gray, McGregor, Hanlon and Stevenson, and that'll be in May. That'll be 4 years since we won the cup. So we need to start thinking about moving on. Like I said to you as well earlier about Stevenson, I want somebody to come in to challenge him so we can better ourselves. No, so Stevenson feels like he has to up his game, because even though he's been left back for you're looking at 5 years now, consistently. Because like we also spoke about, people forget there was a period of time where Stevenson was nowhere near the Hibs team, or he played right back, or he played centre mid, or he played left mid. Stevenson's not the kind of player that'll just let his standards drop because he's not got any competition. I don't think he's like that as a person or as a professional, but I think we need to start now looking at the next step. And Tanzer, 25, proven in the league, would seem like a decent fit.
We never kept the famous five until they retired, on contracts until they retired. We never had Turnbull's Tornadoes on contracts until they retired. We never had the 1991 Skull Cup winning team until they retired. It's pointless looking at the past and then reflecting your whole future on that.
I mean, I do want them at the club. I want them on long-term contracts. Like some McGregor, I mean, okay, done well at Tynecastle and stuff. Again, like Stevenson, I don't think that's a coincidence, but I think there's nothing wrong with having McGregor as, say, a fourth choice centre back in around the squad. Somebody good to have, but have players ahead of them.
But you look at the players that we got rid of though. Fontaine, I would have Fontaine over McGregor. We've got rid of Bartley, who was in the Scottish Cup, but I would rather have him than half the midfield that we've got now.
Well, the thing with Bartley though is, like I was saying earlier on, he's somebody that wanted to stay at Hibs but wanted game time, couldn't be guaranteed it, so went for the game time, understandably.
Yeah, I understand why he left it, and I'm not disputing that. But
and I don't mind having players at these club, but like I say, I think we need to get people ahead of them and in order to kick on.
I think it was just priorities over who was actually a Hibs fan. That's what it seems like. McGregor's a Hibs fan, Stevenson's a Hibs fan, both of them are still there. I don't
think it's a bad thing to have people inside the club.
But as what you are saying though, we are sticking with sentiment too much.
100%.
We've scored conceded 36, which is the 11th out of 12 in the league for goals conceded, which is shocking for a club our size after 21 matches.
We're still a negative goal difference as well.
Aye, -7. But when you think about, I know we've had a few hammerings dished out to us, but the fact I couldn't believe it that we've conceded more goals than St Johnstone and that, who we put 4 past, and then they go 6 put by them at the Parkhead, and that and we're honking for a large spell. So
the thing is, it's like with any team in the world would want a settled back 4, and like I say, we've had the same back 4 now. I mean, so McGregor came in in 2015, so that'll be at the end of this season. That'll be 5 or 6 seasons. I can't even think about how the maths works. But say 5 seasons with almost a settled back 4. But McGregor's missed 43 games in the last 2.5 years. David Gray's, you didn't even ken what's happened to McGray because he's back and then he's out, then he's back, then he's out. Hanlon, I think McGregor, the long-term contracts is a good thing, and I think they'll have accepted it knowing that eventually they're going to get phased out, but I think that eventually should come a wee bit sooner than what they would have liked. Like you say, there's nothing wrong with having them in and around the squad, and I was delighted when I seen the team sheet and I seen that McGregor was playing at Tynecastle, because that is his environment. But you don't want to get to a point where you're just wheeling him out for these showpiece games.
You don't hear people like turning around at the stadium and saying, "Oh, why is Gray not playing now? He was on the bench at the weekend there." Nobody turns around and says, "Oh, Gray should be ahead of Naismith." So it's showing that like progression, but it just seems as though it's stuck with the club now. I
think if you bring somebody in like a Naismith that does well enough, people are not going to be, probably people accept that their second choice. So yeah. Anyway, we've talked about this for long enough. So let's finish off with the 2 fantasy signings, 2 really outside the box, but yeah, just for a bit of fun. Who would you like to see? Craig, start with yourself. Who's your first name?
I was going to change it, but I'll no bother. I think it's a lot of people's. Griffiths is one. And my other one would be based on the options in midfield. Not really a fantasy, but in terms of finances, but Graham Shinney.
Fair enough.
Oof, that'd be a belter.
I want his game at Derby.
He's not getting a game. He's not getting.
He's not
two
played.
Appearances.
He's not been in the squad since the middle of November.
He was in the squad last night. He was on the bench last night.
Oh well, he's not played that. He's not played since the 26th of November.
Wayne Rooney's got his spot now.
Well, that's it exactly.
So, Stephen, who's your ones?
Johnny Russell would be my first one. I think he's getting on well in America. Like you see like the influx of players coming from America into the Premier League now, like with Almiron and stuff. So I think that there is, and where I'm still being like in recognition for international call-ups, I think if he comes back to Scotland, he's got a point to prove. He'll start banging in the goals, and I think that's what he needs as well as us. We need a striker that can play on their own, can get off the shoulder of players and score goals. And I think that's what he'll bring for us.
And your second one?
This one's out of the box. Vernon Anita, the boy that was at Newcastle, he's just been released with William 2, I think.
Centre mid, plays right back as well.
Defensive midfielder who plays right back. So that's where my defensive midfielder come in. And the thing is, he's only 5'6" as well. But Newcastle conceded the least goals that they conceded in 4 seasons when he was playing with them. So in his first season there. So I think that although I think he made over 112 appearances, 113 appearances in Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
Where it came from Ajax, good pedigree.
Capped by Holland as well. He's played for Holland.
He's played 3 times for Holland. Played all the way up through the ranks, and I think that like for 6 months out of football, if we can get him, especially with the like Seedorf and a few other like Dutch players coming in, that's my player for defensive midfield.
Brilliant. Dave, finish off with your 2 fantasy ones.
Well, my first one was Griffiths, so I've not got another one, and then this one's stupid, but it's not a fantasy, it's just stupid, and I'm going to try and apply a wee bit of logic to it and probably get shot down. Darren Gibson.
Fair play.
He's only 32. He's just left Wigan in the summer there.
Did he not get sacked for drink driving or something?
I don't care, he can get the train. We get the train.
To be fair, Richie Keogh just got sacked for Derby as well.
Aye, but he's injured for the next
8 months with a broken leg.
Aye.
I know, it does say his contract, current team Salford City, but he's obviously doing them a favour or something, because apparently listed as
Speaking of Salford City, Adam Rooney.
Nah. But Darren Gibson, 18 times played with Wigan last season, and just again, that's a bit of heart signing though, innit? Like kind of the same that Aaron Hughes wheeling.
Graham,
it's a kind of like a nothing boring. He was just on the transfer market list. I was just having my coffee. It's Dan Gibson. I was only 32. Aye. It's not really a fantasy.
I'm sure when he was at Sunderland, he got in trouble for being at a casino and basically saying that they were shite. Like saying that Sunderland were shite, and they all knew that they were shite. And
I'm sure that was in the documentary.
Aye,
season 1 of that. Yeah.
Well, he's telling the truth.
Aye.
We've had a few fannies in our time in a Hibs top. I'm sure he wouldn't be the biggest fan if he were one. So.
My fancy ones were going to be Lee Griffiths, of course, as we mentioned.
Let me guess, Liam Henderson.
And Liam Henderson, yeah. I mean, he's never coming back because he's doing so well in Italy. And if I'm honest, part of me is really happy he's doing well in Italy, and it's good to see it, and I think he's enjoying it. But
Gav just
I want him back.
Gav just wants him in Napoli.
I take that as well. But yeah, Henderson was amazing. But I think it's hard to find names, and obviously January's a difficult window. But I'm not just my wee two bits. I think we need to get a defensive midfielder in. I think that's a must. I think it'll be a failure of a window if we don't get one in before the 31st of January. But that's just my bit. Just quickly then, anybody that we think, you've mentioned Vela, anybody else that you think might be leaving this window, and is there anybody that's got the last 6 months of their deal that we should be signing up? We've got Slivka, Whittaker and Naismith in the last 6 months of their deal. Should we be getting any of those three on new deals? I mean, Naismith is a loan one. Also Maxwell, but I'm not counting him. Should we try and get Naismith signed up this window permanently? Should we try and organise that? And Slivka, should we get to a new deal? Was 2 questions. On you go.
Yes and no.
No to Slivka?
Aye.
I see I'm starting to fall in that way too. It's just pretty crap because I like him. But
with 3 years and he's no, do you know what I mean? He's no cemented his place as a first pick. You can't. I can't think of a game where Slivka's played and you think he's ran that. Whereas you can think of instances of Scott Allen doing it, going back to McGinn, think of instances where we've played well and they've been pivotal to it. Slivka, I remember the volley at Ibrox and the goal at Celtic, against Celtic at Easter Road.
To be fair though, that game at Ibrox, he done really, really well there. I would have given him player of the match for the game at Ibrox.
What, the 3-2 game?
Yeah. I would have said that he was outstanding, but I think you've got to remember as well, like even when he's not getting games for us, he's like first name on the team sheet for Lithuania, and they're qualifying for like championships and stuff. But I mean, it just sort of falls into the same category as Marciano, never played for us for 8 weeks or whatever, and still getting call-ups for Israel.
Not a bad squad player. I wouldn't be gutted if he signed a year extension and was a name that was seen on the bench quite a lot, and then maybe came in injuries and but he's been done. Yeah, but
it's that sort of thing. You think if he was going to take the jersey, he would have done it by now. He's had quite a few opportunities, and I thought he'd done well when he came on against Rangers, and kind of we're down to 10 men, done really tidy job in terms of stopping them from playing. But then you look at the Livingston game, him and Hallberg both doing the dirty work, but we don't create anything. Anyway, on that, let's kind of jump into the Livy game then. We'll kind of jump from that. So it was a 2-0 defeat. Livingston are 4th in the home table. They've only lost 2 games out of their 10 home games this season. Is that good enough to kind of go, oh well, that's why we didn't pick up ups, or should we still be looking to? I know the answer to this question, but should we still be looking to win there?
We should still be looking to win. Not even win, just perform a bit better. Didn't even turn up, which is, if I was one of the players, I would have been home embarrassed and feeling a wee bit ashamed with that support. That was a big support that we took through there, and they showed absolutely nothing. A really, really bad performance. Like,
it just that just reminded me of, like, remember when they were last in the Premier League before they went through the whole relegation thing, and we got pumped 4-0 through there. It was exactly the same as that performance. Like, we could have conceded 4 or 5 and had nothing gone forward at all.
There seems to be a real issue defending corners and set pieces. We've seen a lot of that this season. Balls into the box. Craig, what's your kind of thoughts on that? How do we improve on that? I know that's a difficult question, but
I know it kind of flies in the face of what I've been saying, but get better defenders. Like, it's difficult, I suppose. It's the defenders I don't think they're strong enough as well against somebody like Dykes, who, and even now you see with Livingston, they're putting Bartley in the box as well, when Bartley never used to cross the halfway line for us. So he's adding a different dimension to it. On the point about Livingston have always been a bogey team for us.
Except when we're beating them 7-0 and scoring for the halfway line and with volleys.
Then there's also, you flip that, one of the times we beat Hearts, we played them at Easter Road the time that they got relegated and they fucking pumped us 3-0. Or the time that when they first came up and we went through to Livingston and we got beat, or the fucking League Cup final. They've always been a team that we struggle for some reason against, and I don't think, again, it's a bit cliche, but that pitch doesn't help at all.
It's just, is that pitch a good enough excuse?
I just think they ran at it. Like, in general, they were more physical, like, in the tackle. Like, everyone, so my papa was saying to me, he's like, we've not got the type of players that can go into like a scrappy game and like a fighting game, that we've got kind of like players that are skillful at that, but if they didn't bring that on their day, then they're pretty ineffective, and that's exactly what happened. At one point we couldn't get out in half against Livy.
10 minutes I think.
Like, it was ridiculous. I was like, what is going on? The ball wouldn't stick up front, and we couldn't string two passes together. It was just, I just didn't know what was going on. And I know they are our bogey team, but if you look at Livingston now, and didn't want to do them a disservice, but they played a lot through the middle. They weren't gone attacking the wings of that. They were right through the middle of us. Ken why? Because we're weak as anything in the middle. We've got a soft centre, and I think that's what they targeted. I don't think it's anything to do with the pitch.
It'd be good to like see like somebody check up the stats on how many games we've actually won after a derby win, because every single time that we win a derby we get horsed the next game as well. And I don't know if it's just whether it's inconsistency or if players just think, oh, we've won a derby, that's fine, we can take the week off. Like, you had a game 3 days after the derby or 4 days after the derby and get pumped again. So it's just like a deflating balloon. Like, as soon as you've come off the 90 minutes, you come out and no player turned up.
There's lots of media and, you know, papers and stuff that are talking about the transfer windows and stuff, and you look through, when it gets to, I think it was the BBC one I was looking at, when you get to Hibs, they describe Hibs midfield as all the midfielders are playmakers. So if all the midfielders are playmakers, why are we not creating chances?
Because you've got nobody to go and win the ball back. It's fairly simple. You've got it's to say again, another cliche, but too many cooks spoil the broth. So I mean, they can all say they're playmakers, but we can find well that there is one playmaker in that team, and it should be geared to getting the best out of him. That's why I'm not adverse to letting players like Slivka go, and I think that's where, when you go back to getting the best out of players like Scott Allen, again you go back to that midfield, McGinn, McGeoch and Allen. Allen's the creative one, give him the ball, go and do what he wants. McGeoch's the one who'll go and get the ball off the keeper, go and get the ball off the centre half, work it across the pitch in a positive way, and then McGinn's the one who'll charge back and forward, doing what he can. But we've not got that. We've got, again, it's the same shite but a different shade.
But see, I think that's what Effie brings as well. Effie took the ball off the keeper and got the ball into midfield and started creating stuff. He did.
It's true.
He created attacks from defence rather than this slow passing about at the back, not really gone anywhere. We were just up the park,
and he literally just like strolled through it as well. Like, it wasn't even as if he was like running 100 mile an hour through the middle of it. It was like literally just walking straight out the middle of the park.
Anyway, we've spoke about FA. I just thought.
But I think I've seen Porteous do that this season, but a lot rarer. I think we've got defenders that are able to do that, but are a lot more disciplined than FA is. But anyway, that's going off the point because we've talked about FA a lot. So, Stephen, I should have came to this question, better host, I would have came to this question after you mentioned the Hearts game. So, yeah, Hearts game, we've came off a good derby win and got a poor result. Was it the wrong decision to go with the same 11?
I think that there was aspects of it that you could have kept the same. I would have kept Boyle, I would have kept the same formation, but I would have taken out Hanlon. I would have put Jackson in. Or McGregor,
but I understand that. But and obviously that is maybe going to help from corners and stuff, from set pieces. Jackson's a big tall guy, but in terms of creating things, I mean, Craig, you kind of mentioned earlier we were on the way here about setting up that way. Livingston's defence is going to be different for Hearts' defence.
Aye, like you play. So we're playing at Tynecastle, setting up the way that we do with Boyle up front works because with them being the home team and them being favourites, they will naturally push higher up the park, which is going to leave spaces in behind a cart horse like Berra for Boyle to take advantage of like we did for the second goal. Livingston, even though they're also at home, it's a whole different ballgame. One, like I say, because of the pitch. They train on it every single day. They know every bump, every whatever. If that pitch is dry, how it's going to play. If it's cold, if it's warm, if it's windy, whatever. They know exactly how that pitch is going to play. And naturally, they're not going to be favourites against us, so they're happy to drop back that extra 5 yards that Hearts aren't going to play. So I wouldn't have went with the same team, or even the same formation. I think that game would have been ideal to go with a 3 at the back.
Would have been ideal to have Fraser Murray in that game.
I mean, saying that, he came off the bench and didn't really do much.
I think if he had started, he would have had more of an impact. When you're coming off, he came off the bench when we were 2-0 down, did he not?
Yeah, to be fair to me.
What do you base the Fraser Murray potential on?
I think that he provides a bit of width. He provides that aspect going forward. Like, I mean, we saw times where, like, Alan, did he not play the majority of the Hearts game? Then he can't play 2 full games. Bring Fraser Murray in to start. He's got a lot to prove as well. The last game of the year, before the winter break. If he's got to go out on loan, give him an opportunity to like showcase himself.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. Dave, how would you have set up?
I don't think the way we set up was that bad. I just think the performance was horrendous. I think we're in a risk of becoming predictable the way we line up, because Jack Ross has actually not changed that much since he's come in, has he? Has he always played the diamond every game?
Changed at half time.
He's changed it at half time to if we're getting beat
against
Rangers
and against Hearts.
Yeah.
Second half.
He done the same against Rangers, didn't he? So it's like we make the same subs. It's like Alan goes off from Alan, and I just didn't want to become predictable. But I just think it was a really poor performance, if I'm being honest. I don't think I didn't foresee us being that bad in that game. I don't think 4,000 Hibs fans gone through to watch either did, so it's one of them.
Yeah. Just something else I noted was the Ross County game. Liam Fontaine went forward when we weren't expecting him to, and there was an extra man that Hibs couldn't deal with. Guthrie for the second goal stayed forward. I think it was after a free kick, he'd stayed forward, and another man Hibs can't pick up with. So Hibs, if a centre half stays forward, obviously they're good in the air. Hibs don't know who to mark. Then and I think that's an issue. It's easy for teams to chuck an extra player into the box and confuse the Hibs defence.
It's whether they're doing zonal marking or man marking though. Because if you're zonal marking, it's like you almost divide the pitch into quarters. So the right back takes the area for the touchline to the byline. Then you've got byline to penalty spot for your right centre half, and then the same on the other side. It's just simple concentration. Or somebody in the defence, an organiser, if they're spotting that the extra centre half's there, McGregor screaming at Halberg, screaming at Slivcut, pull in, even if they're not going to challenge for the header, just make a nuisance of themselves. Do you know what I mean? If there's a ball coming out the box and I'm not going to go up and challenge for it, but I know that Stephen is, I'm got to make sure that he doesn't get it. Not by jumping up and challenging him, but by being a nuisance, standing in front of him, nudging him, pulling at his shirt a wee bit. There's none of that in that Hibs team, and I think it goes back to what you were saying about they're all playmakers. They're no what can get stuck in and do that, or no, maybe not that they don't want to, maybe they just don't know how to do it.
Because Bartley was horrible in that game. I said that to you earlier. Like, he was like getting tore in. He was like squaring up to people, like giving them folk sarcastic wee grins and that, like wee claps, and he was just horrible to play against. And I looked at him and I was like, he just obviously a big character and that, but I didn't like him. I was like, oh, fuck off you. Like, he was doing my nothing. And then,
but you want players in your team that are going to have other fans saying that.
Aye, you want a spoiler, but he done it well. Like, but he was just in our faces, and we don't have like that type of player that's like a Wido or do you know what I mean? Just with a wee bit of something about him.
There's nobody unlikable that we can love, like a Griffiths.
Yeah.
Like, even to a certain extent, like McGinn at times. McGinn was good for that.
Yeah.
Winding up fans. Bartley, perfect at it. Can you look through the league? The other teams have got Celtic, obviously they've got Brown, Rangers, Morelos, Ryan Jack. I can't stand Ryan Jack. Even just his face. Like, honestly, just his, because he's just one of the players that just gets completely under your skin.
He just reminds me in Black.
Aye, exactly.
So,
and if we're feeling that way as players, the players will feel like that as well playing against them. They'll get frustrated with them, and then they're not going to be concentrating as much, and they're more likely to make mistakes. It's just psychology.
Do you think that's maybe where Porteous is trying too hard then?
100%.
Maybe he's still learning that aspect of his game, and he's a young laddie. I don't mind him getting sent off if he's going to learn from it and not do it in the future. I genuinely, a lot of Hibs fans, or maybe not Hibs fans, because a lot of Hibs fans were saying it wasn't a red card. Craig, quickly, what was your thought on that? Red card or no red card?
At the time, I didn't.
But seeing it back,
I can see why, but I think I'm now that I've obviously there's been time to think about it. You think of the repercussions of it. You can clearly see he's went and slowed down with the aim of absolutely doing them, and he's done that, one, likely because he's frustrated, but two, he's realised that we've had absolutely nothing in that game, and he's wanting to give the crowd a bit of a jump, but only a Hibs fan would do that. But no, because I would never see Paul Hanlon or McGregor making a challenge like that. It's because he's young as well, but then he's missed another derby. He's only played in one derby since he's maybe one or two out of a possible 9 or 10, because the injuries or for whatever other reason. I think he needs to stop playing with his heart on his sleeve as much as he does.
The one at Easter Road was his first derby. But yeah, like I say, young laddie, as long as he's learning for that.
Effie would come on down. Would.
Okay, so we'll finish up there. Sort of final thoughts of the Livingston game. Do you think that as long as Jack Ross, do you want to see something different when we come back for the winter break? Is I guess the finishing question.
Just a bit more character for the players. I think that's all we need.
But again, like
something different from that Livy game. Aye.
But unlike the tactics and stuff, you're saying about the same thing every week.
Just try and keep the ball. Obviously a wee bit, maybe a different personnel, like to maybe bring and change stuff, but just keep the ball and actually try and create something and get out your own half against a team that you should be beating.
I think the club just needs a fresh lift. There's been too much negativity over the players that were brought in for the summer, rightly or wrongly, and we just need a good clear out of some of them. Like you say, get some. I think that's the biggest thing. Get some characters and get a player in that the fans can, in his first interview, he's got to be like, almost a bit like what Bartley was on A View for the Terrace when they started speaking about Hearts. There was that inner snigger that he had about it, even though he's a Livingston player now. It's obviously for his time being at us. We need somebody like that in the squad, a player who is instantly dislikable, but we will love him for it.
No, I agree.
I'm changing my fantasy signing to Marvin Bartley. Thanks for making it to the end of the podcast, folks. Next week's episode is going to be me having a chat with the Football Barber. Check him out if you haven't already. He's a lot of the great work that he's doing now, and obviously we'll edit in if a reaction to any signings that hopefully Hibs make. Also, just to sort of say, the schedule will be slightly different in the next few weeks. It might not be strictly every Monday, with it being the winter break. We'll try to stick to that as much as possible, but once the games get started again, it'll be back to every Monday. And if you want to hear my thoughts on the transfer window, I am having a chat with Pure Football. Their podcast should be out Monday the 6th of January. So if after you've listened to this one, go check out them. Make sure you subscribe if they haven't uploaded it yet. Pure Football, and if you might have seen on Twitter, they've done a thing on Hibs players that should be kept, that should be sold, all that sort of stuff. So check that out, and I'm going to be talking to them about that and what Hibs needs to do in the transfer window. So a bit more on that. If you want to hear more conversation on that and what those guys think as well, check out Pure Football and make sure you subscribe to their podcast.